Hey there folks, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you could make it because in today's episode, I'm going to show you how we make a freeze-dried snack that is off the charts popular with our customers. What's really interesting owning a freeze-dried business is that you never really know what's going to take off. Is it going to be candy? Is it going to be fruits or ice cream or prepared meals? You never really know. And so you try to come up with creative things all the time. Last week, I showed you how we put our Cane Corso puppies on a raw food diet using our freeze dryer, and the end product was incredible. We had a puppy blend and an adult blend, and when we teased that product to our customers, they went completely nuts. Today's snack, though, eclipses that by a long shot. Every time we make it, we can't keep it in stock. It's absolutely amazing. What am I talking about? I'm talking about freeze-dried cheese chips. Let's do it. We're going to be doing an assortment pack for our cheese chips. And so what I've got here in front of me is just a bunch of different types of cheese. You could use whatever cheese you want. This is cheddar, extra sharp. This is Munster. We've got Havarti right over there. Should be pretty interesting. Of course, this is Swiss, and this is pepper jack right in the back. Now, notice mine's already sliced. If you have a slicer, you could slice it yourself. I had the guys at the deli counter do mine for me. And as far as the thickness goes, it's really whatever you want. This is going to ultimately be the size of your chip. I would suggest, maybe a couple of millimeters. You don't want it too thin. Thicker might be better, but you don't want it too thin because they're relatively fragile once they're freeze-dried. Let me show you how I like to cut mine up. Now, you could do whatever shape you want. You could do squares. I'm going to do triangles for mine. So we're basically going to cut this one square into 8 pieces. So there's the first cut. Second cut's going to be the opposite direction. And depending on the product you're making, you could stop wherever you want. You could do squares. You could do large, small, quarter pieces, 8 pieces. Ours are going to be basically 1/8 pieces, all in triangle form. So this is what our end product is going to look like. I think that's a great size for a little cheese chip. I'm going to slice the rest of this cheese off camera, and this is what all that's going to look like. Now, what I like to do at this stage is weigh everything. So this is going to be my starting weight, my wet weight. And then when we're done freeze drying, we're going to weigh it again. That's going to be the dry weight. And what that's going to let me do is just let me know, number one, how much moisture we've lost, but it's also going to help me, create a portion size at the end of this video for the products. So we had 8,000 grams in that one bowl and 1,800 grams in this tray. That's 9,800 grams or 21.5 pounds. So that's my starting weight. We're going to be using the Blue Alpine freeze dryer, and the Blue Alpine freeze dryer comes with silicone mats like this. And they're really good silicone mats, but in my opinion, they're a little thick. The name of the game right here is real estate. We need to maximize our space in this tray. This is a large Blue Alpine freeze dryer, and this particular tray is a half sheet pan. And so we're going to try to get as much as we can in this tray, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do is remove that silicone sheet, and we're going to replace it with a piece of parchment paper, just very thin, perfect for what we're going to be doing. That's going to go down first. And I've actually never tried this without a parchment paper, so if you happen to do it and you just put it right on the bottom of that sheet pan, let me know how that turns out. All right, so this is our cheese ready to be freeze-dried. Trying to put as much as I could in there. I could probably make it a little bit tighter. What we're going to do is put another layer on that. This is a mesh silicone sheet. Absolutely brilliant. This will help you maximize that space. Link in the description if you want more information on that. And we're going to do the exact same thing. So now we have 2 rows of cheese ready to go. Guess what? We're going to do a third row. Another piece of mesh silicone right on top. And now we're going to have 3 rows of cheese. There's the third row. And we are going to put a 4th row of cheese right on top of that. And if you think we're done, think again, because we need a 5th row. So we got 1 more piece of silicone mesh to go right on top. And row number 5. Perfect. That's how you maximize your tray. And honestly, if I had more sheets, I would have added 1 more row. And since making this video, I've actually bought another pack of that silicone mesh. But for now, this will have to do. So we're complete. And this is what the rest of the trays look like. So we've got all of our cheese ready to go. We've got 5 rows on each tray. Absolutely perfect. And what I'm going to do is just pop this into the freezer just to give it a pre-freeze before putting it into our freeze dryer. The large Blue Alpine freeze dryer has 5 of these trays and can fit quite a bit of food, no doubt about it. And so into the freezer this goes. We're going to put this into our blast chiller. Let's set up the freeze dryer. This is the home screen for the Blue Alpine, and if you click the quick start option, that's going to automatically begin the default freeze drying process. And most of what you do can happen at that setting. If you click the recipes option, you get different presets, candy, greens, meat, fruit. and they all have their own, values. Let's look at what the quick start is by going to the settings and then edit the default. And right here, you can see what the quick start is, and then you can change it if you want. So 9 hours of freezing, 24 hours of drying. The next page says the temperature is 118 Fahrenheit with a millitorr of 900. Next page, you can change that from MBAR, MTOR, whatever. And then you can change it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So that's what the default is. And for this particular project, I'm completely happy with the 118, the 900 millitorr. The default dry time is fine. You can increase or decrease that. And then the freeze time at 9 hours is probably a little longer than it needs to be since we're pre-freezing, but I'm just going to leave it just like that. All right, let's hit the quick start option. Go to start. Make sure that everything is closed. And now we've begun. So the unit has begun the freezing cycle. And notice that 9-hour timer is starting to count down. And you can change that at any time. If you feel like, you've put your food in frozen, you could set that to 0. You could skip the freeze cycle, like it said right there. No big deal. Our trays are partially frozen. We're going to let them hang in here, I'd say for about 3 or 4 hours, just to make sure that we get everything nice and cold. But truthfully, if your stuff is pre-frozen, you could skip that freeze cycle and bump right into drying, which is what we generally do. But honestly, it doesn't hurt to make sure that your food is super frozen. The process of freeze-drying cheese is officially finished, and it honestly didn't take very long. I want to say 24 hours was about right, maybe a little bit sooner. But your time may vary. It all depends on the temperature of your room, how much moisture is in your cheese, things like that. And we are going to pull these out. I am loving the way this looks. There's some good looking cheese chips right there. Very nice. Now we're going to weigh it a second time. This is going to be our dry weight. And all I'm doing is taking this information, these numbers, and I'm writing it down in a little book behind me. And this is going to help me figure out cost. It's going to help me figure out, how much to put in a bag and all that stuff. And speaking of bags, let's talk about how you should package this up. Well, this is a pretty interesting product in the sense that it doesn't really need unique packaging. I'm using a Mylar or a foil bag with a liner. Here's my label that we created for it. And we're going to end up putting 70 grams per bag. So they're going to get 70 grams of chips in each one of the bags. And to me, that seemed like an adequate portion size for one person or even 2 people if they wanted to share. Very carefully, we're going to put those into the bag. Perfect. All right. Now, these particular bags open from the bottom, and then you'll come back and seal them. Other bags may open from the top. They may be gusseted. Gusseted bags may be a little bit better for the fragility of these particular cheese chips. And these are moisture absorbers. I live in a very humid environment, and so I do like to put a moisture absorber in each bag, and that's just going to keep the chip nice and crunchy. Once we've done that, and look, if you don't want to put a moisture absorber, totally fine, especially if you don't live in a humid environment. We need to seal the bag, and you can seal your bag a couple different ways. I'm going to use a crimper. You could use an impulse sealer if you want. A crimper, in my opinion, seals the bag a bit better. It provides a bigger seal, a wider seal, and with this particular bag, it should only take a second or 2 because the bag material is not that thick. Let's do it one more time. Beautiful. Look at that. Great seal right there at the bottom of the bag. This batch ended up giving me about 85 of those bags. All right. Our cheese chips are ready. They look incredible. We're going to get into this here in a second. But let me share a couple thoughts about the cheese chips. Number one, they are incredibly easy to make. I mean, we did an assortment pack and just a bunch of different cheese. You could do bags with, just cheddar or just pepper jack if people specifically like that. The other thing that I really like about it is that it holds up to the environment that I live in. We live in a ridiculously humid environment. It's probably like 97% humidity right now. And a lot of the other things that we freeze dry, whether it's peach rings, Jolly Ranchers, Skittles, things like that, ice cream, fruit, prepared meals, if you don't move quickly and you don't package them appropriately, like in Mylar bags or something like that, they start to rehydrate. They start to absorb the moisture from the air, and you lose that crispy texture, that crunchy texture, which takes away from that freeze-dried snack. And so the packaging on some of the other products that we make, a little more expensive, but we do that so that we can, maintain the integrity of the whatever it is that we're selling. In this case, we can use a very simple foil bag with a window on it, great presentation. I will say that the chips are incredibly fragile. If you're not careful, So if you're putting them in a bag with other things and you're moving them around, jostling them around, you're going to have cheese crumbs by the time it's all over with. And we certainly have a whole bag of cheese crumbs that we weren't able to sell, but we'll turn that into a powder and then toss popcorn with it or something like that. So that might be kind of cool. Let's get into this. Our cheese chips, very easy. We used the mesh silicone so that we could stack layers. One thing you might consider doing if you make this, because every cheese is different, every brand is different, some are a little oilier than others, you may want to make the first layer, a paper towel, or shoot, instead of using a mesh, silicone, layers like I did, use paper towels in between each layer. And that way, if yours happens to, leak out any oil that's from the cheese, any of the fat that's from the cheese, that paper towel will soak it right up. We didn't have any problem with ours, thankfully. All right, here we go. Ready? Going in. That's so strange. The texture is crunchy, and I don't know if you could hear it. It goes through the mic, but it almost sounds to me like I'm eating a squeaky curd. If you've ever freeze-dried chips before, holler in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Are you getting that squeakiness that comes from cheese? Here we go. This is the pepper jack. The cheddar was great, by the way. Definitely boosted that cheddar flavor. Nice keto-friendly snack. Pepper jack, here we go. Wow, that's good. Slightly different. Wow, I like that. I think I like the pepper jack better. That's really good. Let's see if we can get our hands on some Havarti cheese. You know what would be good? Blue cheese might be pretty good. Crumbled blue cheese. Maybe even some feta, some salty feta. You could have feta croutons on your salad. That might be kind of neat. That actually might be kind of neat, thinking about it. Havarti. I love it. It doesn't melt in your mouth like some freeze-dried items do. It actually stays crunchy and crispy like a chip or a cracker. Great flavor, definitely magnified. I'm gonna go back for some pepper jack. I like the pepper jack, I gotta admit. Nice flavor, a little spicy. Oh, that's fun. Nice little assortment pack. In the event that you were wondering, one unopened pack of this has the equivalent of a 1/4 pound of cheese. So that would be pre-freeze dried. Post-freeze dried, I don't remember what it was, like 70 something grams, 77 grams or something like that. And when I was doing the test on how much to make each portion, we were thinking, what would it look like if one person sat down and just polished this entire bag off? They wanted something keto friendly, curb that appetite, or maybe get their snack fix on. And this seemed like the perfect size. But it's also a great size if you want to share it, put it on a platter, and people can kind of get into it if you have a get together. Absolutely amazing. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. If you want more information on the freeze dryer that we used, that's the Blue Alpine Large. Now they have a couple different sizes. I'll put a link to their website and a discount code in the description box below. Some of you have been asking for a review video for that. We haven't technically released it because I've been doing, a lot of freeze drying in it. I really want to test out the capacity, the limitation, what it's great at, what it's not so great at, and we are just about done. So be sure to stick around. I know you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be very thorough as always. All right, folks, let me know if you have any questions about today's project, the freeze-dried cheese chips, absolutely incredible product. Or maybe you have a question about starting a freeze-dried business. Drop them all in the comment section below. We'll see if we can answer some of those questions. If you enjoyed today's video and you're not currently subscribed, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. And while you're at it, smash that thumbs up button. Thanks a lot for being here. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. It's so squeaky. That was Swiss. That was actually pretty good too. They're all great. I hope you make it.